Welcome back to Skinny's Guitars. Today I have a special guitar for you guys. I was lucky to come across this one a while back while scrolling the internet for Nash guitars at 1 in the morning. This is the first Nash Les Paul conversion done by Nash Guitars. It is hand signed by Bill Nash on the back of the headstock as well as the hang tag. Bill started making Les Paul conversions in 2007 and started out with just a few guitars a year before ramping the production up in 2010. Currently there are approximately 300 Les Paul conversions, but that number does include 61 SG reissues. Nash sources most of his Les Pauls from Gibson or Nash dealers. They would send him guitars into Nash for the conversion process. Sound Pure Guitars in North Carolina was a big player in the beginning. They ordered some of the first ones ever made. Or I think they actually did order the first ones ever made. This guitar started out as a 2000 Gibson Les Paul Classic before the conversion. And I bought it from the original owner who claims he barely played it. I believe it as I've looked it over and I can't really find any obvious signs of play wear besides the obvious relic work. The color is a faded tangerine burst on a subtle bird's eye maple top. It has a really flamey mahogany body. The conversion included Lawler high wound bridge pickup and a low wound neck pickup. From my research, I believe only the first few Les Pauls had Lawler pickups with no coil splitting before Nash exclusively started using DiMarzio pickups with coil splitting in the tone knobs. This guitar also has a ABR1 bridge. This guitar also hasn't been refretted as it still has the Gibson frets and the fret nibs. Most of his guitars have been refretted, which was pretty common on most of the guitars after the 95th or so Les Paul he ever made. However, I'm pretty sure Bill decides which ones need to be refretted and which ones just need a good dressing. So all the Nash conversions are real Gibson guitars. Bill Nash stated that he purchased them with the intention of doing a complete makeover. There are a few models that make good candidates for this, depending on the final color, either plain, flame, or gold top. The faded standards, the classic standards, or the classic plus standards are all possibilities as long as the starting piece is in NOS condition. What I like about this guitar is that the relicing is very realistic. It has a little bit of arm wear, but kind of that's it. It has great checking, a couple dings and dents here. I don't find it over the top. I find it very realistic. And but I don't know if you can see it, but this guitar has a lot of bird's eye maple in it, and the color is just beautiful. On the back, the mahogany has all flame in it as well. You can really see it light up when you turn it. And the relicing on the back it's a little heavy, but very realistic. Now on the neck, you can see right there, it's Bill Nash, 07, Les Paul number 001. You can see by the serial number, this is a 2000 Les Paul Classic. And you can see where that mark is. That was him removing the classic part, but I think the checking and the aging on the headstock is beautiful. Fretboard's in great shape. The frets are basically like brand new. And the chrome hardware has just the amount of relic on it to make it look really realistic. Okay, I'm just looking at inside the pickup cavities. Right here, clearly says HB. So it was a honeyburst color, which you could see pretty clearly on the sides in here. If it was a little brighter, you could see that the guitar was a different color. Up here it says WC, which I'm not 100% sure what that is. I think it might stand for Worn Classic, but if you know, please comment and let me know. And then in the bridge pickup cavity, it says Les Paul CS. So it's basically classic 60s as it has the 60s neck on it. All right, I have the pickups out, and the neck pickup is a Lawler Imperial low wind it says 2007 neck pickup. And in the bridge, it's a Lawler Imperial high wind 2007 bridge pickup. Just looking at the parts off this guitar, this is obviously, it's all chrome, but this looks like this is an original part right here. He's done a good job relicking it. Looks legit. Then it's got the original ABR1 bridge that came with it. That's super crusty. It looks really cool. And looking in the pickup cavity, looks like all the pots are original. They're all Gibson pots. The only thing different looks like is the leads for the Lawlers, and looks like the lead to the output jack has been changed as well. Looks like a little more beefier than a Gibson one. And then back is in great shape. Looks cool. Looks the original strap buttons on this guitar. The neck is all sanded down. Feels really smooth. It's a very thin neck. And then you can look at all the Kluson tuners. They're all reliced really nicely. And then Bill Nash was 7, Les Paul number 1. Oh. Also, I'm looking inside the backplate cover here, and it says 6/19/2000 with tape on it. So I don't know what that exactly is for, because the guitar was done in 12 of 07s. Okay, let me get some neck measurements on this guitar. First fret looks like it's a 0.80, so it's definitely a 60s slim taper neck. 0.79, 0.80. Wow, very thin. At the 12th fret, I'm seeing a 0.86, so it starts thin and stays thin. Let me just check the nut width on this really quickly. The nut width I see is just a standard 1.68. Okay, I also just wanted to go over the hang tag with you. So it says Gibson aged by Nash Guitars. So body is mahogany with bird's eye maple. Neck is mahogany with a rosewood board. Pickups are Lawler low and Lawler high wine pickups. It says Les Paul number 1 right here. Serial number, it's a 2000, and then it was made in December of 07. And it's a Les Paul 60s model. It was basically just a classic. And then on this side, it just says Bill's signature, but down here in the corner he wrote 9 pounds, 7 ounces. And then I also have, from the original collector, he kept the sticker that was on the case. It just said Les Paul 1. So I just want to kind of zoom in and show you some of the checking on this guitar. It's everywhere. And I don't know if Bill did it with a razor blade or he actually did the old-fashioned method of bringing it outside and getting it cold and then bringing it inside warm temperatures. But the checking is everywhere on the body of this guitar. I'm sure if you could see it. Nash does a lot of work on these Les Pauls. I'm going to read you an excerpt that's directly from their website. The first step is to completely disassemble and separate the parts that will be aged and reused from the parts that we reject and replace. The keeper parts are then aged. The finish, which is sometimes rather thick, is stripped off down to the bare wood. At this point, some get stains applied if required to get the desired color. Then, the guitars get refinished in 100% nitrocellulose lacquer, keeping it as thin as possible to enable superior resonance. We do a variety of takes on the lemon, cherry, faded, unburst, plain, and gold top looks. After curing, the guitar gets the complete aging treatment, is then frets are reworked and dressed to our specs, and then we are ready for reassembly. The pickups are replaced with what many of you may balk at, as there are so many opinions about Les Paul's pickups and the tone out there. As always, I simply built a guitar that I would use and leave it at that. As many of you know, you may have figured out the method Gibson uses for wiring the pots is not optimum. The tendency towards the guitar getting muddy and sounding choked when anywhere but 10. This gets reworked when we rewire. Gibson installs frets on the fretboard prior to it getting glued to the neck and the body. Maybe they do it as it's easier to do it that way, but it can really lead to all sorts of fret issues, buzzing, fret outs, high action, dead spots, etc. What happens is the neck and body glue, moisture, and all the underlying structure will shrink and expand and or settle. The fretboard and frets will now adjust itself to the changes, and you'll end up with lumpy gravy. The most noticeable and common issue is the hump at about the 14th fret, right where the neck gets really thick before it hits the body. So what Nash does is now rework the neck and the frets and take care of this to give the player better action, playability, sustain, bending, etc. Okay, I'm here with the Nash Les Paul. Do a sound demo. I'm playing through a Fender Supersonic 22. I have it in the clean channel only. I have the treble at 5 and the bass at 6. I'm going to start off just clean and the neck pickup. Okay, now I'm going to throw a little boost in front of it. I'm using a Copper Sound Fox Catcher. I've got pretty much everything on noon, at noon on the pedal. Starting on the neck. distortion in front of it. I'm using a JHS Pack Rat. I have it in turbo mode. I have a distortion at noon pretty much, and the filter about 9 o'clock. Start on the neck.